Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace. Hey guys, just finished watching Legion, Season 2, Episode 1, Chapter 9. Wow, what an episode. This was a really interesting, I love this show and I'm really excited for it, and it really, at first I was kind of iffy with it, but then in the end, the way the cliffhanger that they leave for the end of the episode, setting up the season, it really gets me excited for this, and I'm excited to see this. It's really going to be cool to see where this goes. I'm not sure how many episodes we're supposed to be getting here. Let's take a look here on IMDb, Chapter 9. Looks like we're going to get around 11 episodes, so that's really going to be pretty cool to see that. 11 episodes for this season. That's really going to be interesting to see if IMDb is right. I mean, anyone can edit that, but it's really going to be cool to play with all this stuff. So I'm going to jump into here, jumping into a few things to talk about. I didn't really take notes throughout this episode this time watching it, just kind of really took notes afterwards. This is kind of what I remember, just because I wanted to focus on the episode and take notes afterwards rather than kind of just quickly skim through it and then take notes rather than stopping in the middle of it. I was also watching with my father, so didn't want to just pause it every 10 seconds to take down notes. So we start off with David has no memory of the past year type thing that he's been in that orb, and we knew that. We saw that from some of the trailers and stuff, so that was really cool there. That's really going to be cool to play with that, especially with, he's new to all this whole stuff. He's new to everyone working with Division 3 and what's going on with Division 3 and the basket head guy and the three twins, which are all technically one person, kind of. That's really interesting to play with that and really mind-boggling. And then we see there's also at one point, I forget, so some of these notes here might be out of order and stuff, but whatever. There's also one point at the beginning when we first see Sid. She's there, she starts licking herself like a cat. So, and she's holding a cat, and so she changed, was able to change with the cat. Is she able to control her powers at this point? Now, she's clearly still walking. She really can't too much because she's still walking around with these gloves on, these rogue type gloves. And it really is a cool idea of playing with that, but I like the idea that she's slowly learning to control it, switching with a cat. It's harmless type thing. She's able to control it so that when it does happen, she can control, I can immediately revert back. If somebody accidentally bumps into her and touches her, she can just switch back on her own command because she knows how to, instead of waiting for them to accidentally turn back. Just like in Season 1 when she touched David, kissed her and stuff, she had to wait for it to wear off before she could turn back, whereas now it looks like she's able to kind of control that. So I think that could be a cool idea to play with that. I think it really could be fun to see where things are going with that and how things kind of changing, and see different people how they've learned and played with their new powers and stuff as from times go on, especially her, and to see David. So it really is going to be cool to see where things go with that. And then we find out later on that David is still kind of affected. There's still a bit of that bugs and stuff from the Shadow King. Still has a bit of a connection to there, and that's what kind of I forget the guy's name but the Wallace. That's his kind of, he's kind of thinks that David could still be the Shadow King, and he just kind of, it's David, but the Shadow King still has a bit of a connection there. There's still kind of a door, there's still a kind of a thread kind of in there. So I think I like that idea of playing with that, but at the same time, after spending a full season last season with him infected with the Shadow King and all that stuff, and that was an interesting idea. I just would like to see David on his own using his full potential. So hopefully the way however they play with this, they're making it different with him dealing with having the Shadow King inside of him. It could be an interesting idea, but hopefully it doesn't kind of retread the same things we've seen before, or kind of the same ideas that we've seen before. I mean, obviously the cliffhanger of this episode sets it up that it could be something else, but it is going to be a different way of using it. Obviously there's going to be something way different. It's Legion type thing. But I think using it in a way that kind of, I still want to have him full in control. Have him a little bit infected. Maybe still has that connection there to make him have that weak point, right? So he's not too powerful, but at the same time, I still want to see David full powered and using his powers and knowing how to learn and able to practice how to do stuff. And I think it's really going to be cool to play with that, because that was the cool part of the last season. At the end of the season, when David kind of was able to kind of use his powers and unrestrained by the Shadow King type thing, when he's able to take all those. I think there was one scene in last season where he was able to take all of the Division 3 agents and kind of have them all just kind of like ants glued to a to a tree type thing, and that was really cool, and that's the power level that I really want to see. I can't wait to see those type of things that you don't get in your Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., your Herald, your anything else, like nothing else before in anything comic book or superhero related type thing. So I think that's where I really want to see things, and hopefully we can get a lot of that. And I think that that's really where the show kind of shines, is really seeing how powerful he is, because I really want to be able to see how powerful he is and see him just turn it up to 11 and really go full force with it. So I really hope that we could do that. I think the idea of the way they're being affected, it kind of interests me, but at the same time I don't want him to kind of focus too much on that. I don't want that to be too much of a thing. I really want to be able to see David go full on out and full powered. I think that's really going to be cool to see that. Again, we get to find out the others are working for Division 3, but they said that in last season stuff. That was the whole setup going into it, which that was really cool with this. But it's kind of different for David, since he hasn't been working with them. They've been working with them for about a year, and that's kind of really interesting to see with that. And speaking with Division 3, you got the guy there, I forget the guy, but who was the half-burnt face guy from the first season and stuff, who was interrogating him. They have him here on IMDb, his name... No, not listed here, at least not right here, whatever. So it's really interesting to see how that he said he wants to talk to him, and how they wanted to go through and take a look at him and see how you want to do not experiments but test him type thing, to see if this David that doesn't have any memory for the past year has his body aged for a year, or is it to him he's just been teleported a year in the future type thing. So I think that could be a cool idea to play with, seeing what's going on with that. Did he actually spend a year in that orb? Has his body aged a year and he just kind of has a memory blank, or is he kind of skipped and jumped into the future type thing? How does that kind of thing all worked? I think that could be a cool idea to play with, to see where things go with that. We find out they've been hunting Oliver the whole time, trying to find the Shadow King, trying to get it to attack him. Of course, they would be. And then we see David. We find out that when David goes into this, I guess it's a cerebral prototype type thing, where he's laying in the water and he's trying to remember what he did for the year type thing. And we see David had a dance battle with the Shadow King with Oliver and. The Shadow King type thing, which is Audrey Plaza type of thing. So that's really going to be cool to play with that, and it was really cool, interesting, and different. Scene. There's a lot of different scene type thing with him kind of dancing and all that stuff. And there's a lot of times in this episode where I had to pause it because background noise at my house here, I couldn't tell if that was part of the show. I think someone was using a blender at my place, and I was like, at the end during the scene, it was just like I didn't know if that was part of the show because it just blended into the whole setup, but it was not type thing. And then there was other times where I thought our doorbell was ringing, but it was part of the show. So it was just the way the show is able to do things like that, and how it's just so random, it's so jarring that this thing is so messed up, it's so confusing that weird sound that wouldn't fit in here does kind of fit. Not sure if it could fit in here. So I think that was really cool. The way this show is able to do it is how any other show the blender's on, it's not part of the show, but this show, it's kind of you never know type of thing. So I like the way they play with that and how that kind of affects this show type of thing. It's really confusing. So I think that's really cool with that. And again, getting back to the dance battle, it was interesting to see that, and it would be cool to see what else we get from as we discover throughout the season what he was doing for the past year. So that's really cool with that. And then at the end there, we get the future Sid kind of telling David to help the Shadow King find his body, to help Frugmakto find his body. And I think that's an interesting idea, and I love the way they did that with the future one, how they had it look like our Sid, when it kept on, the light kept on changing, and she kept kind of like, it was like a circle, how it would change, and you'd get a glimpse of our future older Sid. And I love the way they did that, because it looks like they did complete CGI. They didn't put her in makeup or anything like that. It wasn't makeup or anything, and the CGI was just super on point. It was just great the way they did that. It was really good. It would have been cool to see her full CGI. I don't know, it was full old, but I like the way they kind of made it twitch and stuff, and it was really kind of Legion style. It would have been boring. It wouldn't have been Legion to have her kind of just be old type thing, talking to the camera, talking to David, and using the light stuff is really interesting thing to see. And I'm glad that in next season, especially when with Sid mentioning to him about keeping secrets, please don't keep any secrets, and he gives her the I guess we'll call this the the Pirates of the Caribbean compass, the Captain Jack Sparrow compass, the compass that shows her wherever David is. So I think that's really cool playing with that, and it's really going to be cool playing with this secret. And glad that in the next episode, for at least for the trailers for it, looks like she does. He does mention, tell Sid right away that about him seeing the future version of her, and he doesn't keep that from her, and I'm glad he doesn't, because I think that's really cool. It's really cool of him doing that, trying to include her into the whole story and keeping her part of that, because I think that's really nice to do that. Because there's so many times where, in other shows, like Oliver and his show would never tell people that this stuff, or always hold his burden and all that stuff, and it's different in this show to kind of have him, because everyone, kind of suspects that he could be still this could still be the Shadow King connected to him. They're not 100% sure if the Shadow King has any type of hold on him type thing, and he kind of does a little bit, or it's at least still there, still infected. Whether or not Shadow King has control is unclear, but there's still remnants of him there. I think that's really going to be cool to play with that, but like I said, not too much. And also I'm glad that he's kind of including Sid as much as possible, trying to keep her a part of it, and I think that's really going to be cool to see. So all in all, I really like this episode. The beginning, I was kind of not sure about it because it seemed very kind of retreading the same thing and stuff. But then that ending of future Sid telling him to help the Shadow King, I think that's really going to be cool to see that. Hopefully that's future thing. If future Sid doesn't turn out to be connected to that the little piece of Shadow King that's still inside of David, and that's just not that little piece of Shadow King making him see this and turning him against everyone, trying to get him to help himself. I think I could see that being the case, but at the same time, I feel like that would be too, for Legion, it would be too on the nose, too obvious. So I feel like it's probably not that, but at the same time, I just want to make sure that it's not that storyline, just to be safe. So hopefully this could be really cool. And again, with this show, as I always want to, hopefully they do not bring Professor Xavier into here until they can get Patrick Stewart. Or James McAvoy would be cool to see. I doubt we did be able to get him on the show. But I think Patrick Stewart could easily be obtained for a couple of episodes or something. So all in all, again, I think this is one thing to keep tweeting at Patrick Stewart, everyone, just to get him to jump on this show. I think it'd be great to see him on here. I think it'd be really cool to work on here. I think it'd be quite interesting to see. And also with Dan Stephen being British and him and Patrick Stewart being British, I think it's really cool. It would really work well rather than having James McAvoy type thing. So I think it's really going to be cool to see where things go for this season. But so far, I kind of like it. I'm really intrigued to see where things go. But hopefully they don't do too much of the him still being infected, because I really want to see him full powered and full kind of unleashed and stuff. But I really want to be able to see and not have him be hindered by the Shadow King inside of him. But we'll have to wait and see how they do that here. I'm not really kind of concerned too much. I'm just kind of being wary of it. But at the same time, I trust these guys because the writers are so good in this show, at least for last season. So can't wait to see what they do next. So let me know what you think, guys, about this episode in the comments below. Season 2, Episode 1, Chapter 9 of Legion. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.